Sapoops, welcome to Siao Lang experience. If you don't know what a Siao Lang is, don't worry. You're about to find out. I mean, I feel like everybody should find out because, it's a sort of survival thing. I mean, if you didn't know what a Siao Lang was, well, I think you should know. I feel like every single person in the world should know. So yeah. Anyway, what's up, Spoops? How's it going? How's everyone been? I mean, I hope you are all doing great. Who is here? Who is here? All right, let's start off with a fun little poll right here. Question for all of you. How many of you have already encountered what we would call a Xiao Lang or a crazy person this year? If you have, say yes. If not, then no. All right, that's gonna be a poll. And yeah. Anyway, so who is here? Hi, Sapoobs. Yeah, so poll is beginning. And yeah, what do we have right here? This question. Oh shit, this question is like, whoa, way too long. Okay, let me see. Ha- have you have you already encountered, gosh, I have to like learn how to write like more concisely what we would call a Siao Long or crazy person this year or in the last year. Okay, what do we have right here? Let's go. All right, so for those of you who are here, so Xiao Langs. If you've never met a Xiao Lang before, I feel that like you are like not even yet a human being. I feel that like your time on Earth has not been made complete because everybody in the world needs to encounter a Xiao Lang. I have the questionable experience of having encountered a Xiao Lang very recently, but I realized that a lot of y'all don't actually know what a Xiao Lang is. So you know what? Like I have to go ahead and actually show you because well, this is what we call like cultural exchange. So here we go. A Xiao Lang is basically a mad man or a mad woman. Okay, basically a crazy person. I don't know if you've seen a crazy person before, but like if you need to go right ahead and yeah, like experience a crazy person, which you do need to because your life isn't complete unless you have experienced a crazy person, then yeah, like it's interesting. Like while I was actually preparing for this little live stream right here and before story time and everything like that, I was actually thinking about like making like what would be the archetypal Xiao Lang for all of this right here. By the way, chat, so like who is here? We have like five of you at the moment. Why are y'all so quiet today? What like 失信是吗? Like your girlfriends basically were like not happy with you or something like that? Are you just like crying or something? Or is it like too late at night? I don't know. Like maybe like, all of y'all are just like old, but like you just like you don't wanna you don't want to respond. Hello, apa kabar? Safudin. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. We are coming out strong with the heart emoji. It's like you might be today's local Xiao. No. I'm kidding, kidding. Okay, great. Anyway, apa kabar? Apa cerita? Local Siao Langs. I hope that you are doing great. So as I said, right? So I'm like looking for like a range of like different people right here who are like Siao Langs. I don't know why, by the way, like why my chat GPT goes ahead and gives me like all of these like I don't know like Malay captions, whatever have you right here. But like here we have like Siao Lang, another Siao Lang. Look at that, and we have like yet another Xiao Lang. So you cannot accuse me of being racist, okay? Like you literally cannot be going out and then accusing me of being racist, okay? So, like here we have like Muhiba, okay? So like we have one Angmo and then like one semi-Chinese and then one semi like I don't know what it is right here. Okay. Like in the interest of okay, it had me have a rate limit earlier, so I couldn't actually generate like all the Xiao Langs. I realized that like no man should be left behind, so like I need to make like Indian Xiao Lang, okay? So like he should be Indian. Okay, so like y'all don't screenshot don't anyhow screenshot you want anyhow screenshot then let me establish for you. Let me prove to you that like basically I tried like there's Malay and then like there's Angmo and then there's like also what do you call it right there? There will soon be an Indian person. Anyway, what do we have here, chat? Now there are some people out there like Chin Ho Wong who have met Xiao Zha Bo more than they have met Xiao Lang. I tell you, Chin Ho, I don't know if that's a good thing or that's a bad thing. I think it's like a sus thing, but I feel actually right that like Xiao Zha Bo and Xiao Lang like they kind of like mean the same thing because like if you are a Xiao Lang then like Lang basically okay you know what like it's time for like some etymology right here, all right, okay, so like Xiao Lang, all right, so this is actually from like the en.wiktionary.org right here, and it means like mad man or mad woman. Okay, so like it can be either a mad man or a mad woman. But I think Shinho, like what you kind of mean right there is like maybe like a Karen kind of thing. I mean, I didn't. Oh, I realized that maybe like there's a gender bias here. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like if there are actually any girls here, oh wow, I'm so sorry. Like I didn't account for the fact that wow, like y'all don't feel represented. Funnily enough, right? Like there was actually a time when I organized an event, like maybe about like 2 years ago, right? I was like literally freaking out because like there were like no girls, like basically like showing up. Like we were literally gonna have like a sausage party of like panelists kind of thing right there, and I just like rustled everything together in a month. I managed to invite like 5 girls to actually like show up for the panel kind of thing. Like it was a superhuman effort. Gosh, and then like later on, I did another like fully gender representation event. God, okay, I don't know if you call that woke, but like it was an effort, okay? Like I really genuinely thought like this. Okay, I still think gender representation is important, kind of thing, but I'm just saying that that was like something that I did at that particular time right there. Anyway, so what do we have? You can't walk away from Xiao Zha. I think technically you can walk away law, but the question is like, what's the consequence, right? I mean, by the way, like for those of you who don't understand what Siao Lang or Xiao Zabo is, yeah, so like I'm just gonna show you right here, like what you have when you look at the Angmo version, because like apparently like this is like yeah, like a Western centric society. You may refer to the Xiao Zabo also as the Karen. I don't know why like they decided to like literally call this person like Karen right here. Oh wait. I'm sorry. Like maybe that's racist. I think that's actually like people called the Karen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for me. No, okay. Like I swear, like this is not me intentionally trying to mock like the Karen people right here, but like there are actually some people called the Karen, like the Karen tribe. All right, they have like these rings like around their neck. It's a thing. But what I'm thinking about when I think about Karens, right, are actually like these people. I don't know, like they have like all these like nice like little stock photos right here. I don't even know like who these people are. But apparently like they go out there and they just like sell their pride away. Just be all like, hey, you know what? Like why don't we go ahead and like take pictures of ourselves like in compromising positions and then like sell them to a stock photo website. I'm like, dude, why don't you just like go ahead and like start OnlyFans or something like that, bro? Like what? Why? I don't know. So I've seen like a couple of these people who show up on like Canva all the time. For all you know, like maybe they are on their way to becoming Siao Langs. Anyway, so hey everyone. So yes, there are Thai Karens. That is absolutely true. There are Karens, as in like the Karen people, but I think Karen itself is like a concept, right? So like you can actually have like people who are like Karen-like and who are not one of the Karen people. Okay, I think I got it right. I think I got it right. Anyway, so yeah, like as I was saying right here, so like there is this thing that's called a Xiao Lang, a crazy person right here. And chat, like, if you have been on my YouTube channel, you have probably seen the local Xiao Lang in recent memory right here. I don't know, like so I thought it would be fun to like just talk about like random Xiao Langs that we may or may not have seen recently. There is a poll for those of you who just joined. All right, so like have you encountered what we call a Xiao Lang or crazy person this year or last year? So I don't know whether you have actually, like, if you have, then please share your story. Where's everybody watching from? Where's everyone watching from? All right, yeah, so like are you from Malaysia? I don't know, like India. There was a time when like we had actually like a range of people come from like India because like I was like making videos about the India Pakistan conflict and stuff like that. So like it's like if you're there, then I don't know, like what's up, how you doing? So now, yeah, like so to share a little bit of the story right here. So like I made this video recently, and there is essentially this one dude who has been going around right here and commenting and calling himself an old and wise veteran. I find it very interesting. I mean, like, yeah, this is what you've got right over here. Let me share the screen. Boop 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 doo 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 doo. Young man, salam from old and wise veteran. Cut your vitriol and cockiness and learn from Lao Tzu. You have heard of the Malaysian deep state gun that can make problematic people disappear, David Copperfield style? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. All right. Interestingly enough, I have actually been learning from Lao Tzu. In fact, like that's the reason that I have been going for a yoga class. But you know what? That is actually what we call yeah, like a very interesting sort of like coincidence right here. But I don't know, man. Like when I think actually of people like this, I wonder, right? Like why are they even commenting in this way? Like what are they trying to say? And like, I think of people like these, and I think of the actual Siao Langs that I've actually seen approach me randomly along the road. And I gotta say, right, like, actually, they're a lot more common, right, in America where I used to live compared to like Malaysia. You know what I mean? Like in Malaysia, right? Like you can see them like maybe like on the internet kind of thing. You see a lot of those people actually. And like seriously, okay, like you know what? We're gonna look right now at even more Xiao Langs because like that particular Xiao Lang is not even like the most it's not even like the most interesting variety of Xiao Lang right here. Like honestly, like you say like this is going to be like a Xiao Lang experience kind of thing. You cannot just like say like, hey, let me show you like one Xiao Lang. Let me show you like a lot more Xiao Langs right here. Like for example, yeah, right over here. Let me show you. Satu, dua, tiga, Xiao Lang on. All right. Past PN seluruh Malaysia, you can go ahead and join that group right here. You will see so many Siao Langs over here. One after another, the Siao Langs, basically, there they are. Just constantly posting about UEC and a whole range of other things right here. Oh my god, look at our politics. Oh my gosh, don't you know that we are the greatest, the most wonderful in the world? And we will just go ahead and post about all of this right here. PM Best Bagan Datuk. It makes me wonder actually like what all these people are just like doing day in and day out and sharing all of their thoughts like here and there. And what do we have right here? Jangan nak buat jadi warga negara jika hati ko masih lagi berkiblat kepada negara asal. Datang sini buat cara orang sini. Tak suka boleh balik negara asal. Kan senang. Tak perlu gaduh-gaduh. Datang pun tak dijemput. Yeah, you know what? From the voice I'm like kind of like letting out right now, probably like like my neighbors, maybe like one or two of them or something, like they are thinking that I am the Xiao Lang. Like, who is this crazy person talking to himself right now? Why is he talking to himself? It's crazy. It's not appropriate. Tak siuman dicakapnya orang tu yang seumpamanya tak mampu nak bercakap dengan normal sekali. All right. So what do we have right here? Yo, bros. I love this. So 60% of you have encountered a Xiao Lang or a crazy person this year or last year. Yeah. So like 40% of you have not encountered a Xiao Lang. You know, bro, or sis, or like whoever it is that you are, I I would say your last 2 years have been wasted. I mean I'm sorry, but like, you need a little bit of like spice in your life kind of thing. And I feel that like encountering your average daily Xiao Lang is honestly one of those things that actually like introduces you to the sort of like the true reality of our world. It's a crazy world out there. Like you think to yourself that it's not crazy, but actually like it is kind of crazy. Like there are people who are just like going xiao, ki xiao. Okay, you know what? Like Hokkien lesson. Ki xiao means you go crazy. All right. Xiao liao means like you are crazy already. Yi xiao liao means he is crazy. Yi xiao liao also means like she is crazy. So like if you wanna like casually talk about that, then like, it's fine kind of thing. I don't know if like, by the way, like any of y'all out there actually like know any like degree of Hokkien at all. I mean, like normally, right? Like I just like speak in English because like y'all, my audience, like y'all speak in English kind of thing. Like Malay, like that's fine too. But like I feel like Hokkien is like kind of niche. It's kind of niche. It's really kind of niche, Like I don't know. But we have like some like Penang Kia or something like that. We can have a Hokkien conversation. Ai khảo con Hokkien ui ê sai, nà sì con lu u Hokkien lang e ping you lang ê sai con Hokkien ui bo bun te, no problem. We can speak Hokkien, no problem. That's all good. Yeah, okay, Chin Ho, Ki Xiao, wow. Yeah, I mean like raise laugh, like that's also possible. I don't know. That's interesting. Um, what have people been saying? Okay, so you have some people from Johor, John Danker, what is up? Some people, so like one person from Johor, one person from Malacca, one person from Sarawak, and then yeah, like that is great. I mean, like y'all are watching from like a range of different places. I don't know, like at some point we might like meet some international people out there. That was actually one time when I encountered an American, right? He was like so shy. I don't know, like it was because like Trump had just been elected, kind of thing. He was like shy to be like identified as an American or something like that. I don't know. Like it felt like he didn't actually need to be shy, that kind of thing. But like sometimes that wokeness out there stops people from actually expressing themselves. They feel that like, hey, like if I am an American, then I shouldn't be speaking up, like in this weird Asian society where like I am an alien. But you know what? Chat, like whoever it is you are, wherever it is that you are, whether you're Chinese, you're Malay, you're American, you are, well, from China, or you are escaping the communist regime of some unknown country that I have never even heard of and that is yet to join even the current list of 195 out there in the world, whether countries or territories. Be my guest. Go ahead. Let me know in the chat. Anyway, so yeah. I've been thinking about this like whole Siao Lang thing for a while. I think that y'all saw the Siao Lang earlier, which I showed you. And it is actually, if you think about it, right? Like, yeah, like we have like the Siao Langs in past PN seluruh Malaysia right here. And yeah, we also have like that Siao Lang right over here, who is like basically proclaiming that he is wise and stuff like that. Yeah, I tend to not actually be like very kind when it comes to like commenting on people who are like Siao Langs right here. So I felt kind of bad, and I thought to say right here that actually, like when we think about people who are like crazy kind of thing right there, um, honestly speaking, like it is actually kind of sad. No, 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 really. Like you might think to yourself that it's like not sad, right? But like, I'm not saying that just to be a downer kind of thing, but it's like actually, I think, right, it's sort of like a pandemic in our society kind of thing. And like, why I say this right here is that like you see actually like I don't know, like maybe it's just me, right? But I see like more Xiao Langs like each day kind of thing. So okay, like you have encountered a Xiao, 58% of you have encountered a Xiao Lang, like or a crazy person this year or last year. 54% of you right now, the poll is like just dynamically changing right over here. And you know what? Let's end this for now and let me ask another poll question right here. Okay. So, question for all of y'all out there, another poll, another poll. Do you think the number of crazy people that you see has increased, decreased, or stayed the same, ceteris paribus? All right, so the ceteris paribus thing is like kind of like important right here. Because you see, I was trained economist, trained as an economist, right? So that like this whole what do you call it? Like ceteris paribus thing is kind of important for me. I don't have enough characters to add them in right now, but like yeah, I want to say like ceteris paribus. For those of you who don't actually know what that means, it means like assuming that you hold all conditions basically the same. I know it's very hard. I know it's very hard, but yeah, like here's the poll question. Do you think that the number of crazy people that you have seen, that you see, has increased, decreased, or stayed the same kind of thing? So go ahead, please go ahead and let me know in the poll. I kind of want to know. Increase? Damn. what kind of life, man, like are you experiencing? I guess it's a very normal one because like that is why like I'm like talking about this right about now. The number of crazy people it has increased, but yeah, that is very unfortunate. What else do we have right here? How many? Okay, one person right there has said it has stayed the same. But a lot of y'all are saying that actually the number of crazy people that y'all have seen right here has like increased. Okay, okay, that's very interesting. I mean, wow, like anybody want to share about that? Yeah, Chinho says our education system is weak. Thus, we have so many Xiao Lang. Actually, partially, like, I guess like we can actually map that out, right? Like maybe, like it's kind of like a long list of dependencies, though. But if I were to kind of like think about that, it's kind of like a stretch. But like, no worries, we can like map it out if you want. John Danker, yes, ceteris paribus, all other factors remain equal, meaning that A, for example, like, okay, in the same time period, basically you had the same job or something, and then, like, in working in the same job, same role, same responsibility, meeting the same people on a day-to-day basis, the same counter lady, basically, that greets you whenever you go out there and buy McDonald's, or if you're boycotting, then maybe something that is not McDonald's, KFC, maybe, Subway, I don't know if those are on the boycott list, and, yeah, like, in the course of those daily experiences or otherwise, then somehow or another, like the sheer number of crazy people that you encounter or see just like happens to increase. That in that case, then we would say that yeah, like the number of Xiao Langs that you have encountered would have increased. And we have like 10 votes right at the moment. Oh, this is good fun. And 90% of you say that the number of crazy people that you see has increased. That is interesting. All right. Okay, before we map things out, there is a response from Safiuddin Hanafi. I've seen a Xiao Lang before in real life. Okay, it was when I was at a pharmacy with my dad, says the chat. Suddenly, this lady in a Hilux suddenly parked behind our car. When my dad went to confront her, she got mad. Like, there were so many other places to park, and suddenly I'm the one who's wrong. Yeah. Yeah, man. Like, I feel you. Like, especially when it comes to like parking right here, like that's one of those things that like brings out. Oh, damn. Then she cried and said she was old and needed care first. And what do we have right here? Mark Lee enters the chat and be all like, welcome, Mark. When the poorer becomes poorer, more Xiao Lang will be evolved. Yeah. Anyway, like, okay, if we think about it, like, why don't we like make this like a little bit creative right here? And I'm gonna actually like start up a document right here. Um, and like we can actually explore this right here as like a phenomenon, right? Like for like Xiao Langs to basically go out there. Welcome to those of you who are discussing like factors leading to Xiao Lang incidents kind of thing. Okay, so like suggestion number one was given a little bit earlier on by Chin Ho, and basically you said that education system, okay, lead education system weak equals to Xiao Lang's increase. All right. I I don't know about that, but there was actually a very interesting post like a while ago, right? That I kind of like commented on in this education group that I'm a part of. So like I am in education groups because like I network, I meet like potential parents or clients of my tutoring services for like the teachers that I work with or myself personally, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna show you that particular post. So this woman basically was like saying like, "Yo, so there's a rant. She's anonymous, so I think I can actually show this because her privacy will not be compromised. Anyway, so like she was like talking about how like, yo, look at this. I moved to Malaysia 2 years ago and put our children who are Australian born with one Malay parent. We decided to put our kids into public school in the hopes that they can pick up Bahasa Melayu, but they haven't. We've been having problems with my 10-year-old son not wanting to go to school so much that we started to think maybe something serious going on. Well, today he finally tell us that his English teacher always yelling at him. We had similar problem with my daughter's teacher just being rude to her and speaking bad about her in BM, but her friends tell her what teacher said. And this is what you have right here. How can you have a teacher that can't understand English fluently be an English teacher? She can't actually explain in English to my son and yells at him. And here we have like the whole like discussion of like this stuff right here. And one of the commenters actually pointed out, right, that like, yeah, like these people are poor. That is why they are going like cray cray. Now, chat, I think I mentioned this in in the last live stream, but honestly, like if you are poor, like that's your situation, that kind of thing. But like for me, kalau you orang baik, like I don't really care all that much. Just don't go up to me and then expect to be like borrowing money or anything. Like that is no, like just no. Like that's not a good way to go right there. But anyway, so yeah, like I think that like rich people can be bad, good people can be either poor or rich. And but yeah, like if you think about it actually, like the likelihood, right, that you will end up like becoming crazy and stuff like that if you have no money, it's just astronomically like much higher right here. It's just like so much higher right there. So if you don't want me to become a Siao Lang, consider contributing to my channel. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But if the kindness of your heart disposes you, then you can consider it. But anyway, so that being said, right? So like there are crazy people who actually by dint of like their being unable to function in day-to-day life, then they become Siao Langs. Like that is actually like a legit like possibility right there. Right? Like think about it. Okay. So like I mean, like, if we think about it, like, maybe we can say, right, A, all right, so maybe what happens is like one possible pathway. I don't know if like you agree with this, but kids don't learn the things that they need in order to function properly as productive human beings. Arrow, kids don't do well in day to day life. Arrow, kids end up unable to either create jobs for themselves, to sell services, or to sell themselves as employees. Arrow, then over the course of time, kids end up getting bullied, cannot function amidst human social dynamics. Arrow, and then kids turn into Siao Langs because of the difficulties of life caused by a mixture of the system and also their own personal weaknesses. Now, let me tell you about like why I say like um their own personal weaknesses right here, right? Because like okay, Chinho, like I think like you have like a very good idea right there in like mentioning like the education system right there. But I think also like there is a little bit of a problem with like saying like the entire education system, right? Because right, so like I will comment on this and I will say this, I will say this, I will say this right here. I think that this is very important to say, right? Whatever kind of education system it is that you have, there are always going to be people who are able to do better than the rest of them. Like it's almost inevitable. Like it can be like their own genetics, it can be like their talent, it can be like maybe certain exposures, it can be like their interests. It can be even like by accident. Like maybe like for some reason or another, they just found like something like particularly interesting and then they started reading and then like that thing just happened to be like, I don't know, like some sort of like physics textbook or something. And then before you know it, then by the age of like 13 or something, then they're doing like international physics Olympiad and then eventually getting into MIT at the age of 16, becoming geniuses and then eventually professor and then eventually creating gigantic Death Stars with the intention of destroying Earth because they realize that human life is no longer worth it. I'm sorry. My what do you call it? My creativity went a little bit like delulu off there for a quick bit. But anyway, no, look, like okay, the point, the education system can help people become better on average, but you still have to account for like other factors in a person's life, including the person's own personality, the wider economy, like how or whether people are getting jobs, whether the person's parents, for example, are working properly, the environment that they are in, the personalities of their own parents within that environment, the environment of the country, the political system, what they read on the news, their information environment, what the social media algorithms give to them, all of those things influence in some small and subtle way the likelihood whether or not a person is going to become a Siao Lang. But at the same time, also the conditions, like you could say, right, of human life. Okay, but like that being said, right, I think that education system is like one possibility. I don't know, like it is like kind of like an interesting thought, right, to kind of like consider as well. But yeah, so the chat I can see that like you have like 19 votes at the moment and like 84% of you say that the number of crazy people that you have encountered recently has like increased. Wow, like that is interesting. Hey, so can anybody like be explaining to me why y'all are saying that like the number of crazy people that y'all are seeing is increasing? Because I really want to know. I really want to know. I want to know why you're saying that basically that the number of crazy people that you're like seeing on a day-to-day basis has been increasing. Ceteris paribus, please. Yeah, like that is actually what you've got. Anyway, so you have like even more discussions right over here. John Danker has a question. Are the Xiao Langs like the Karens and the Kiasus? Okay, so a bit of terminology right here. So the answer to that is not necessarily, all right? So like, you know what? I'm gonna use like the Google Doc again, and it's gonna be like a bit messy right here, all right? But I will explain to you the difference between all of these terms, all right? All right, so like let's gather around. All right, so first of all right, definitions. Xiao Lang, a crazy person, can be a man or a woman. Karen, a woman of disagreeable disposition that is inclined to make very loud and public scenes. Kiasu, a person who has attributes that make them unpleasant because they do not want to lose, or they view winning as ensuring that they do not lose. For them, it is okay if they lose, but everybody else loses even worse. Winning for them is like a nice coincidence, and they will fight for it with everything that they have, tooth and nail, no matter how unpleasant it gets. And then if you happen to encounter one in your classroom and you ask them, how did you do for an exam? Then they will go up to you and then they will say, oh, okay, only lah. But then they will get 99 marks out of 99. That is a kiasu. You're welcome. That is, yeah, what you have right there. Yeah, I mean like okay, like AI is great. I mean like I love this like whisper flow. You'll be able to find like the link in the description if you're interested in getting this right here. If you don't actually have the link at the moment, then like oh actually it might not actually be there. Never mind. I'll put it in a little bit later on. You'll find it in the comments. Anyway, yeah, so like this is actually what it is, right? You've got like the Xiao Lang, a crazy person, can be like a man or a woman. A Karen is usually a woman, right? I don't know if like there's like a male version of like what is a male version of a Karen? Wait, let me see. What is a male version of a Karen? I don't know. Kevin? Kevin? Chad? Bruce? Who the hell is Bruce? Wait, bro, what? Okay, you know what? Yeah, so like I don't know. Well, since we're talking about like Karens anyway, so like it's kind of like cool to like think about like all their relatives, right? And like all the people that they're kind of like related to. It's nice, right? It's like understanding like not just like that single animal, but like the entire zoo and like the entire like I don't know like Linnaean like classification or like some shit like that, like right there. That's very nice to think about. Wow. Okay. So we have a couple of interesting opinions right here about like who Xiao Langs are. Inspector Shi. Oh, we have some very interesting suggestions out there about like the Xiao Langs. Yeah, you know what? Like to be fair, right? Like if you read the news, right? Like you do see a lot of like Xiao Langs nowadays. I mean, yeah, like Inspector Sheila is like one person. I mean, like maybe you've seen. I don't know if like everybody knows about like what happened with Inspector Sheila. So like let's go ahead and bring it up on stream. Yeah, Taipusam public disturbance is what happened right there. Apparently, she fought with a trader. Yeah, this is what it is. And yeah, I don't know if you happen to know about what happened exactly right there, but like she actually went and got arrested and she gave a speech. We can probably find it on TikTok. Let's see. Inspector Sheila TikTok speech. Let's see. All right, what do we have right over here? Yeah, Chari Saya. Let me see. Boom. All right, let's see. Sound. Let's go. And be shared. Be shared. Sound. Inspector Sheila TikTok let's go ahead and play it. Let's see. All right, what do we have right over here? Yeah, Chari Saya. Let me see. Boom. Okay, great. All right, let's see. Sound. Let's go. And be shared. Be shared. Sound. Inspector Sheila. Let's go ahead and play it. Alright, what do we have right here? Yeah, Chari Saya. Let me see. Oh wow, damn. I see. Boom. So she is literally like asking people to show their eye sound, kind of like go and share standard issue activity that you might imagine right there for an actual officer. And then what else happened? Let me see. Alright, what do we have right here? Yeah, Chari Saya. Let me see. Oh wow, damn. I see. Boom. Wait, so she is literally like asking she an actual to reveal their eye sound, kind of like go and share standard issue activity that you might imagine right there for an actual officer. And what else happened?
Lihat dari saya, bawa saya dari luar.
Oh wow, damn.
Kuel.
Wait, so she is literally like asking she an actual to reveal their eye sound, kind of like go and share standard issue activity. I don't know. Oh, double sound. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know actually what is going on with that particular woman right here. But yeah, like she is kind of like a unique character. I mean, like there was a time actually, like when and like she is like an interesting character. She is an interesting character. Sorry to everybody who heard like double sound earlier. I need to figure that out. Inspector Sheila. So like she actually was like looking for a boyfriend kind of thing. Like she was like literally going out in public and then like looking for what do you call it? I think like she actually has been like looking for a boyfriend. I think I heard about that a long time ago. Like this particular woman, like she has like so many different types of drama. Like it's kind of crazy to think about right over there. Yeah, it is very unique to think about. But like she definitely qualifies as like a crazy person, a Siao Lang right there. Yeah, Karen is male and Darren is female. That's very interesting. And yeah, she be yapping. I don't know, like maybe like there's some sort of like crazy logic to it. You know, like some people actually, right? Like they are actually like completely logical, but they're just like very bad at communicating. Like seriously, okay. I know that there are some people, right? They are like basically complete geniuses, right? But they could never ever like have a conversation like this. Not with like, well, a group of people. They could not have a conversation with like even a cardboard box, right? And this is it's kind of interesting to think about like what is happening inside her right now. But I just like I guess we don't understand. We don't have enough context. But either way, right? Like that's a fine example of a Xiao Lang. Thank you for that. Chin Ho be saying that if kids see bullying in parents, family, and parliament, you see Xiao Lang, then you copy Xiao Lang, then yeah, actually like that's a very good um factor right there. You know what? Like I think that somebody else wrote a factor like for why it is that we are seeing like more and more Xiao Langs now. And like I want to address them. I want to address them, right? Like let's go ahead and like put in like number two. Okay. So two, poverty. All right. And then like number three, I would say that poverty is kind of like related over to like education system being weak, right? Because like what is education if it's not like basically something that's meant to train you for life, right? Like to function in society. And like if you're living in a capitalist society, which by the way we are living in, which is why we need money. I would love to not need money at all, but we do. But yeah, so like if you have a poor education system and people just don't know how to function, that kind of thing, then like you are going to end up in that situation where like you will have like whether you like it or not, that incidence of like Siao Langs. So I would say that this is kind of like related, but I will say that oh, before I forget that, like last factor. So what do we have right here? Bad examples. All right. I guess like I can agree right here. Poverty leads to a person not being able to afford what they want. And over the course of time, it is going to lead into a poverty cycle. Poor parents can't buy things for their kids. Their kids have fewer opportunities. The kids end up being unable to compete with other better resource families or kids. Result, the parent cannot end up training a child that will end up supporting the family, at least on a statistical basis. And given what we know about the correlations between income or net worth and your ability of your child to function within society, either in an economic context, by the simple fact that also a lifestyle or a net worth that is higher correlates with your ability to network or the presence of your past networks. If you are what we call 富二代 in Chinese, meaning that like you are literally like the Cheyenne of like say YTL, a literal anak YTL, and not what Rasma and Zakaria went and casually yapped about right there, then you are gonna have like friends in like basically almost any industry, almost any company that you have out there. If you wanted to, you could basically be anywhere. No problem with that. But if you are poor, then you are not going to have those opportunities. And if you feel genuinely that somehow or another, every single road is close to you, Jalan sudah tutup, 没有路了, then you are going to, in time, have your mind spiral in different patterns because your life is actually that bad. Your life actually sucks. Like people don't pay attention to you. They don't give you like what you actually want. No sort of positive feedback, no matter what you actually do. And if you are stuck in that pattern, then you may very well end up becoming crazy. Okay, a lot of that is like not really related to like just what we call poverty, I would say. But like it is kind of like raw material, right? Which is kind of like it's kind of like interrelated if you think about it, right? Like when we think about like human beings, right? Like human beings are like so complex and so interesting, right? Like they are literally like people with just as deep internal lives as us. Like I hate to admit it, right? But like you think about like all those people out there who are like now Siao Langs or that like behave in like certain ways, right? Like, bro, like people have their own internal rationality. And like that is the sort of like Delulu experience right there, which like you might laugh at, right? But like actually, if you think about it, right, like probably like they are thinking inside their heads, like they are going at the speed of light and something like that. For all we know, like maybe like the crazy guy who commented on my YouTube, like maybe he had a friend who experienced something horrible, like what he was talking about, and then somehow he's watching from afar and he's saying that, oh, we must learn from experience right there, but it's a generalization from like one person out there into like the entire rest of the world. I don't know, like it is very tempting actually to generalize from your experience over to what other people will experience or must be experiencing, but in my mind it's not very rational. Oh, okay. Yeah, so like Professor Soleha, yes, I would say that like she is actually a Xiao Lang. Like that is a Xiao Lang. But like a part of me actually thinks that maybe she's not really a Xiao Lang because like she might very well just be like one of those people out there who is just like I don't know, like she just says like outrageous things that are like extremely stupid, but like at the end of the day, right? Like she just knows that like she can make money from doing it, so then she just keeps on doing it. Like I don't know if that's like stupid behavior or it's opportunistic. It's like Well, I guess like some people would say that like, if you really were that smart, then you wouldn't need to be making money in that way, right? And like that is probably or possibly true, but like, as a historian, if she wants to go out there and appeal to the masses and she wants to sell her like, I don't know, like 90-day program to become like the paling jati diri person out there in the world right there. I mean, I don't know, like is that stupidity or is that like some sort of like financial genius right there? Well, it's very hard to say. I mean, in our modern society, actually, like, if you think about it, right? So, like, it's very difficult to actually differentiate bravado from like intelligence. And there's actually research to back this up. Like if people actually dare to go out there and put themselves out there, right? Like people will naturally and automatically think like those people are actually more competent. Like there's actually research to back that up, right? Like if you hear me yapping right now, kind of thing, then like okay, like some of you might actually think that like okay, maybe I'm smart, kind of thing, right? But like if you think about it, like that's not really. I appreciate it, like if you feel that way. I'm not going to say that you should think that I'm smart, but I'm just saying that like the research says or suggests right that like if you hear a person like just going out there and then like being confident and like talking about certain things, then like the likelihood that you're going to be thinking to yourself right like oh okay like this person is like capable right like that actually increases like exponentially. So yeah, I don't know. But the converse of that is that like if you have like some of those people out there right who are like very very introverted, and I don't mean introverted in that like clear and explicit or direct meaning of what introverted means, because like introverted just means somebody who like loses energy from like talking to people, right? But maybe a better term to have used is that like if they're not expressive, right? Then maybe what happens is that like over the course of time, right? Like from their social interactions or whatever, then like they just end up like in a pattern of failure, which is like not good, not pleasant. And it's one way to become a Siao Lang or like an incel, if you want to call it that. Like that's also a possibility. Yeah, this is what it is. What is our poll doing right now? The number of crazy people that y'all have been seeing has increased 22 votes, and you have a grand total of 82% saying that the number of crazy people that you have been seeing has been increasing. Wow. That is kind of interesting. All right, and yeah, some discussions right here about Mara and Soleha and yeah, the health ministry call centers, etc., etc. Yeah. It is true that a lot of people gonna scam. It is true that during elections, our politicians embrace a lot of crazy extreme thoughts or policies. Okay, but like this is something that I want to think a little bit about as well. Because like again, it's like one of those things that's like, more complex than it immediately seems, right? But this fits nicely into that last point, which I did want to kind of like address right here. Bad examples. I think that one we can like talk about is basically politicians, and then like also parents, environment, right? Okay. So you know what? Like let's start with parents and environments first, because like I think that this is like kind of a situation, right? Whereby if parents and the environment that a person happens to have throughout the course of their childhood is bad, then the childhood traumas are going to later compound into other types of maladies that are more likely to affect them. Not every child is going to receive certain maladies or bad habits, like for example, drug consumption or sumbang mahram or anything else out there. But if you have parents or if you have an environment that facilitates that, or if your parents are immoral or racist or otherwise, then there's a higher chance that you are going to end up doing as they did, not what they say. They can tell you, anak, you mesti kena cakap bahasa Melayu all the time, but then if they speak English all the while, then they are going to end up just speaking English. But on the other hand, if you try to do the opposite, right? Like you want them to speak English, but then you are speaking Malay, then like you just end up not getting what you want, right? That's just how it is. And like you see, the thing is, right? Okay, that I like actually going into like these thoughts right here, because like it's always so interesting like the kind of depth that you can go into. The environment that you have can actually be a mixture of a lot of different things. One of them could be your school and the different ways that it manages to serve your needs. But even more local to that could be the particular friend group that you're in. They say that you're the average of the five people who are closest to you. And if you think about it, even in a school of like 1,000 people in a single class, there is an innumerable number of possible combinations. All right, you know what? Like, let's do some math right here. I mean, like, I think that this could be like interesting right here. In a school of 1,000 people, given that a particular year of students comprises 200 students, can you tell me how many possible friend group combinations you could get composed of five friends that you could get from that set of 200 people purely from within your year? This is like some combinatorics in case anybody has ever tried studying that before. It should be basically if I'm not wrong, yeah, C, so like 200 C5, if I'm not wrong, it's basically like 200 factorial over 5 factorial and then also over 195 factorial. Hold up. Yeah, okay. I think that's right. Yeah. So like this is what you've got right here. There are basically 2,535,650,040 possible five friend group combinations within your year of like 200 students. And then like you have to imagine, right, that like even if you consider like this right here, like that's like such a large possible number of like experiences, right? And like you think to yourself that like the school is like what really affects you, right? No, man, like your peers, like the people that you hang out with, like that shapes you who you are, right? Like you think that basically like it doesn't, but it does, right? It really does. That's I don't know, it's very interesting to think about. Yeah, account close. We were talking about like crazy people and how in fact crazy people actually about. So like earlier we were like discussing like the Siao Lang that experience, right? So like the reason that I am doing this right now is just kind of like me thinking about the different reasons why people end up getting like to behave like crazy people. Because again, right, I don't think and like yes, I know that like meeting a crazy person is usually a negative experience. But again, right, like a little part of me, like it feels bad, right? That like there are such people out there. And like if you think about it, like, if we accept that like people are like mentally like equally as deep as us, or at least they have like internal lives, right, that are as complex as us, with people that they love, with people that they meet, with people that they see on a day-to-day basis, that kind of thing, then in some sense, then it raises that deeper question, right, of why it is that people end up behaving in certain ways that are like socially undesirable. And like you could say that not just of like the crazy person who went and commented on my YouTube video earlier, but you can also say that about all the past PN people. Why do they end up racist? Why do they end up yapping day in and day out about race and religion? Not thinking about like the actual better things out there in life, and why is it that they are just constantly gaslighting themselves? I mean, like, is it because they don't have a choice, that kind of thing? Honestly, like, if I really, really, really were to think about it, right, like, I actually think it is out of personal desperation. Like, seriously, like, you think to yourself that, like, it's like just like a flaw of personality, that kind of thing. Yes, like, as a general rule, right? If somebody is coming up to me with a personality flaw, I will judge them for it. I will basically like take the behavior right there and I will say, you, all right, like you are not going to behave like that in front of me. Like that is unacceptable. I will stop you. I will call that out, right? You want to be a Xiao Lang in front of me? In that case, then like I will respond appropriately. I will not be holding back. I don't hold back on these kinds of things. Like I report people. Like I have literally like caused people to lose their jobs before. I have done it mercilessly, right? Because like, all right, I'm not saying that like people cannot have had very sad lives before they led up to like a particular moment in time. But as far as I'm concerned, right, like you can be a bad person or something like that, right? But you can choose not to behave in a bad way. You can have like certain dispositions. And like all of us, like let's be completely real, right? Like all of us, we have shadow sides, right? By the way, fun fact for those of you out there who didn't know this before or you didn't watch my previous chair YouTuber like site, right? But this chair is actually named after a very specific book. I don't know if I actually have that book at the moment, right? But it's actually yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know what, guys? We're gonna take like a very short break. I will come back in, let's see, 1 minute.
1 minute, starting now.
All right, I'll look for it. I don't know if I can find it. Let's see. What a nice coincidence. As it turns out, actually, I do have that book. Bro, look at this. See this? Nice. Our timer is ringing. Yeah. So this book, I bought this bugger right here, one single book for 1,000 ringgit. Yes, that's right. I might be an idiot, but I bought this book for like 1,000 ringgit. It took over a month to ship right here. It is a book by C.G. Jung about the shadow, you can say. And it contains all these little interesting illustrations right here. And you might think that basically these are like weird. It's a sort of like cultic, whatever have you right here. But basically, like these are a series of like drawings, right? Or paintings that uncover parts of what Jung would later call the shadow side of like a person right there. Like the dark side, basically. And like for those of you who have ever like played video games kind of thing, or like you listen to BTS, you might know that like BTS has an album called Persona Map of the Soul if you like video games, and like maybe then you know like Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, that kind of thing right there. Fun. But like basically it always talks about like the shadow side, right? And facing the shadow. Like basically the whole idea here is that like everybody has like a dark side of themselves, right? Like I have a dark side, you have a dark side. And like we have like certain things that are within us which maybe we might want to keep hidden from the world. I can tell you about one of them. I am oftentimes, right? I can say an unforgiving person. Like I do not tend to have sympathy for people who like attack me. And like if like they were to attack me, then I fight back with the aim of creating maximum damage. Like I do not hold back. Like I will go after every single thing that I know, right? Based on my understanding of an average person or any personal information that I can get about that particular person, right? I will find that particular point, right? And I will write in a very specific way in order to target the person so that they will psychologically break. Like, I will not necessarily be able to do it all the time, but I will construct my sentences in such a way that is intended to achieve that in the medium term, in the short term, or whatever. That's part of like the shadow right there. I know it's not a good thing necessarily, right? But on my part, the way that I think about it inside my heart is like, if somebody were to go out there and attack me, then I should attack back. It's like an instinct, right? I know that, and that's also one reason, right? Why sometimes, right? Like I think that like it is actually harder sometimes to like be kind. I think it's something that I'm learning, right? I don't want to become like that vindictive person out there who's like going out there and like becoming a Siao Lang in a different way. But that is a part of like my dark side. Like you can like think about that. And by the way, like But back to slightly more light material right here. The reason I brought this out is because like this chair actually that I have, right, is named after that particular book. I call this chair my Liber Novus, and I want this camera to stop moving for a quick bit. Stop moving. All right. Yeah, so like it is basically like I call this like the red book, the seat of consciousness, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's a nice little like comfortable chair and stuff of that nature. But I just wanted to illustrate the point, right? That like if a person actually ends up well becoming a Siao Lang, right? It can be like because of a couple of different things, right? And Jung might say that like maybe it's because right you didn't face your shadows, you didn't face like the dark part of yourself, you didn't actually look inside yourself and understand that like there are these things right that cause like all these problems. And then like when you refuse to face the dark part of yourself, then it ends up right creating a problem. You end up like basically like acting out like in ways that you didn't even know. You never brought those things into consciousness, and because you never brought those things into consciousness, then somehow or another, then you ended up right choosing to project them onto others, right? Like that is just like what it is, right? And yeah, like in this situation, I guess like you've got a whole range of like different possible ways that like people could have, like shadows. And again, I just shared that like particular thing, right? I'm not saying that there aren't like other things that I would consider part of my shadow, but the point is that there are different things, right, in the deepness of like human psychology or whatever have you right there. That is yeah, it's interesting to think about, but I think that it's worthwhile for y'all to understand like who you are as people and like what you want or don't want. Everybody who has just come in, has the number of crazy people that you have seen recently increase, decrease, or has it stayed the same? For all you know, like it could be one of those like crazy people that you think about, like whatever you think about the phrase like crazy people right here. Welcome, welcome to those of you who have for some reason just come in and are looking at me hold up this big ass book. What a gigantic thing. It's like me working out for tomorrow's gym session with this bugger that I bought for like 1,000 ringgit, bro. I haven't even like finished reading it. It's yeah, that book is probably lethal. Chinho or whoever said that, because I'm not looking at the chat at the moment because I was holding up my impractical 1,000 ringgit book. Anyway, yeah, like the Red Note by Mao Zedong is not that book. It is a pretty lethal book. You can actually look it up. I mean, like you can look it up. I mean, like the Red Book is a very interesting like thing, I think, to like consider looking at. But yeah, it's also the name of the chair that I have right now, Liber Novus. Yeah, but like this is what you've got. Yeah, follows records in fair copy the author's observations and experiments on itself or on himself, sorry. Yeah, so like it's pretty interesting to think about all of that stuff. Anyway, so I do want to like think about this idea right here, which is politicians. In a video a while ago, like just for fun, I said like, oh, like the genre of this channel right here, I don't know what it is right here. You could say that it's like politics. Some people could say it's comedy. Some people could say that it's like fashion, given that like sometimes I pick up like random items here and there, including this claw clip, which I was like thinking, okay, since I have long hair, maybe I should go ahead and make use of that. I never actually did. Yeah, like some other props right here, like this can of I don't know, like canned air, which I have not used recently, but I may have to use for my keyboard. But anyway, yeah, so like politics could very well be like something to think about right here. Cause like y'all were talking about like examples, right? And I thought that like the comment that one of you was like saying, hey, you know what? Like the politicians actually like they well find this to be, I mean like they actually create part of like that environment, right? So like again, we were like thinking about environment earlier and we saw that like it's like really not so easy to like just like break things down into like a single thing, right? Like look at this right here. So like I mean, even if you think about it, right, it can be like the money that your parents actually have, right? which then leads into like the question of like poverty, right? Like you identify that as a single factor right here, right? And then you start realizing that actually like the complications are like so many, right? To the point that it's like very difficult for you to actually isolate like a single factor here, there, and everywhere. But like I can say like politicians, right? Maybe like um right. Politicians and the things that they say can rile up people in certain ways. For example, if a politician were to say that all Chinese people turn flags upside down, then that could very well cause certain people to then become angry with the Chinese community and then start creating stereotypes and posting about them on social media, thereby influencing even more people to start thinking the exact same way and to then begin behaving in a fashion that is best described as irrational and very much characteristic of Siao Langs because they were influenced by what the politician had already said. But I should say this though. I mean, like, you think that like politicians are immune or like basically like they are all powerful? I think not. However, it's not like politicians are all powerful or they are gods that can fashion what people believe, want, think, or do. You may remember that Tunku Abdul Rahman allegedly lost the confidence of the Malays, and partly this was because of the way that a certain Mahathir may or may not have maneuvered in sending out letter, a poison pen letter to people talking about how perhaps the Tunku had not managed to serve the interests of the Malays at that material time. After which, our father of independence, the leader as he was, eventually ended up losing his popularity and capitulating. We have seen that Anwar Ibrahim is not a very popular politician with the Malays, and he has to pander to what a archetype or persona of what he believes the Malay voter is like or what they might like in order for him to gain votes. Therefore, he behaves in a certain way and he does not recognize, say, the UEC or otherwise, because if he does, then surely he will lose votes a little bit later on. And like this is interesting as well, is interesting as well. We can say what this illustrates is that for better or for worse, the politicians and the people are interconnected with one another, even though it may seem that one of them may lead the other, but in reality, they are tied together in an interconnected dance, neither fully free to do exactly everything that they want. Like, think about it, right? Like, okay, like, I am saying this by the way, because like, um, I was actually inspired by a comment, right, a while ago on my Mahathir interview. And for those of you who didn't know, I interviewed Mahathir like a long time ago. That was supposed to be a second interview, but then I guess he chickened out. Sorry, sorry, Tun, if you're watching this, you did chicken out when I asked you about Lee Kuan Yew. I don't know if you're actually going to, in the future, right, like see this stream right here. But Tun Dr. Mahathir, if you see this stream right here, like that is how I interpreted things. I sent out that question about Lee Kuan Yew, and then later, then you said like, "Hey, you know what? Like, this needs to be rescheduled. You haven't rescheduled yet. If you still intend to reschedule, if your hip is getting better at this point in time, then I suggest that you, well, yeah, like, get in touch with is the name public? Okay." Get in touch with your press secretary, and then yes, we can yeah, like do that interview a little bit later on. But anyway, so they are interconnected, right? And what I mean by that is like everything influences everything else. But the politician cannot make promises that are impossible to fulfill. For example, he or she cannot be going out there and promising that the 10th percentile income for Malaysians is going to be 10,000 ringgit per month by next week because the economy of the country cannot support it. That constrains the politician. What the people believe, what they know, what they want, what is in their minds, their visions of the other races, the way that each community constructs itself in that imaginary way is going to affect them. But I will say that since we're talking about the topic of like Siao Langs, which is very interesting in and of itself, right? Yeah, so I will say, Gan, if politicians keep on playing on certain narratives and reinforcing the very ideas of other communities as the other or enemies or otherwise, then that is going to become like a seed that ends up growing. And its dark power brought forth from a dark genesis that itself was brought forth from dark roots that were set in from the very moment there was an iota of distrust that was put between us. It ends up causing the entire plant to grow wrong. And if the plant does not experience some sort of radical pruning or otherwise, then the people who are growing the plant and simply depending upon its path dependence will soon find that the tree that they had wanted to grow into something truly amazing will eventually end up twisted. By the way, I don't know if like any of y'all have ever like planted a tree before, right? But like you can ask like even a simple question. Why do people prune trees? Okay, I don't know if like you know this right here, but like okay, look. So like people prune trees, right? Like meaning like they cut like certain branches, right? Like okay, has anybody done gardening before? Anybody? Anybody done gardening? Like go ahead, like let me know in the chat. Like do you do like gardening? Gardeners, what up? Yeah. I don't know about whether you have actually done any gardening. I know it's like kind of like a random aside almost. But yeah, I think that like gardening is kind of like interesting. But anyway, like if you want to grow a tree, right? So like the thing is that sometimes you need to cut like some branches, right? Like especially if like the like tree, right? It's like not growing in the way that you want. You need to like basically cut the branch so that the tree is gonna like take its resources and then like basically like put them into like other parts of the tree, like the branches that you actually want to grow. So if you don't do that, then what's gonna happen is that well, the tree is gonna end up like just growing things that you don't want, right? It's kind of like you imagine that like okay, like just imagine, right? Like you have let's say that you get 100 ringgit allowance, right? Let's just say, right? So then like you decide to invest that in like I don't know, like some wow, how do you can't really invest in anything. But okay, let's pretend that you can actually like invest 100 ringgit in like a couple of stocks, right? So then like I would say that like a bad branch is like basically you invest right in Intel right after the government bail out, that kind of thing, right? And then like it loses money, that kind of thing, but then you still die, you want to keep on investing like here, there, and everywhere. So then like you think to yourself that like, oh, it's gonna be great and everything, but actually it is like just bad. Like you keep on putting money into it in the same way, even though you know it's bad, right? Then you're gonna end up losing money. Like that's just how it is, right? It's the same thing with politicians, I feel. You know, like you like basically like what's happening is that like they are just like putting like their energy into all of these like horrible branches, like here, there, and everywhere. Branches of like racism and like yapatronic behavior. And like it just like continues, you know, like to end up growing and twisting and becoming like cancer that ends up like destroying like the country, which is like weird. Yeah, so like you've got like some gardeners right here. I respect all of y'all gardeners right here. This is good. Like keep on gardening, you will not become Siao Langs. Anyway, okay, so like we'll finish this up a little bit right here, but yeah, it will that they had wanted to grow into something amazing will end up twisting. Yeah, that is basically what we can say right here. Yeah, but the thing is that the politicians still are important because if somehow they were to actually come together, they could theoretically choose to cut off the branches that are no longer serving them. The only problem is that because they rely on the people, therefore, if that's not what the people want, then they would be ill advised to cut off the branch because they will fall off. And the fact is that there are other politicians, and there is no short supply of other people who are willing to play certain toxic narratives if others don't. I suppose that is possibly one reason why Akmal Saleh was saying that even if you bring me down, then there will be 300,000 other Akmal Salehs who will come up. There is that possibility. There is that possibility. So if you think about it, like there is actually that sort of like situation right over there. Um, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't necessarily look good for Malaysia, but I don't know. Like it could be that like you rely on a miracle and the miracle comes to pass. But like I would say that like don't put your eggs all in just one basket kind of thing. Like have options if you can. I'm saying that. Like, am I doing it? That's a separate matter altogether. But like I would say that like if you are listening to my advice, like have options. And that can be Malaysia. It can be like not Malaysia or otherwise, but have options. But I will say, like, just another other thing right over here, and that is effectively. Let me see. Wow, have we been like yapping for like how long have we been yapping? It's been actually about like wow like 78 minutes. I think like y'all need to like go to sleep like pretty soon. Wow. Anyway, so I will say, and yeah, people can feel very strongly about the way that politicians lead them. They can believe in certain things. They can believe that they can become the most religious, the most holy, the most true if they are led into certain ways of life or thinking or believing or otherwise. But jangan cinta dunia sangat or don't love the world is not going to help your standard of living improve. And at some point, almost everybody who is living a life that is fueled on the fumes of idealism and not, in fact, any sort of practicality that is relevant to the world is going to eventually encounter the reality that they have just been gaslighted for their entire lives. You can believe for a short while and you can think that you are winning, but that's very different from actually winning. And yes, politicians do have an advantage in that they can get like decent salaries. I'm not gonna say like infinite salaries because like there are in fact better ways to make money. But they can get decent salaries. They can be called YB, be respected and everything like that. But I wonder how it does make them feel to know that uncontrollably, inescapably, what they are doing and what they are not doing will eventually lead to a situation where eventually and one day they can be leaders, sure, but they will be leaders of hell and not paradise. That seems to me to be a nice recipe for the young, the old, the politicians, the non-politicians, the people who might believe in a future in Malaysia or otherwise to all become Siao Langs. Because being gaslighted and somehow believing these grandiose things only to have everything come crashing down is a sufficiently good trauma to almost virtually ensure that you would end up behaving in that way that reflects that you no longer care about anything because everything has been lost. All right, anyway, that's a little bit of like my creative license right there. Anyway, so we need to wrap this up like pretty soon. It's almost like 12 right here. Anybody have any like questions right here? I think that we've done like a bit of like yapping about Siao Langs. And yeah, so like thank you for your voting right here. I see that like a lot of y'all like, hey, guess what? Like the number of Xiao Langs that I've seen has increased. Stay the same as like 21%, which is like nice. You know, like y'all are lit. This is good. Anyway, it's already there. It's just invisible to see. I don't know how many unreported cases there actually are. I'm sure that there are quite a fair number. But anyway, like this is a live stream to think about Xiao Langs. And yeah, there are a lot of Xiao Langs out there. So I hope that y'all are going to be like careful kind of thing right there. Um, I want to say like have compassion towards Xiao Langs, but I think I'm not like the best person to say like have compassion again for the reasons I mentioned earlier before, right? Like for me it's like very sort of like cognitive thing, right? Like on a cognitive level I can say like, hey, yeah, like have that compassion, but is my heart ready for that? Is my heart ready for that? Like that's a separate matter altogether. I hope that one day my heart will actually be able to be ready or like, to accept that there are these like sad people in the world without thinking about it from the point of view of like, hey, like these crazy people are like going against me. I really hope that like that day will come, but I think at this point it's just I see crazy people, I would be inclined to like avoid crazy people. It's not something that I can just be all like, hey, like I will open my heart up for every single crazy person out there in the world. But if there's a chance that like some of y'all out there, like, you can actually have that heart open up, then like by all means, right? Like you can do the thing that I cannot do. And maybe that's what it's meant to be, like we can't do everything ourselves, right? And if you feel that you pity your local Xiao Lang, then like maybe you can say hi. You can like just make them feel a little bit less alone in this world or less xiao. You could be their savior. Anyway, so gonna wrap this up. Thank you all for watching and for joining me on my little Xiao Lang yapping session. Good night, everyone. Have a great one ahead and